Hello students, Miss Sumita is here. Today we will be discussing the topic present perfect continuous tense. The present perfect continuous tense is also known as the present perfect progressive tense. Shows that something started in the past and is continuing at the present time, but not necessarily finished action or situation at the time of speaking. The present perfect continuous tense emphasizes duration or the amount of time that an action has been taking place. The present perfect tense focuses on the result of the action, whereas the present perfect continuous tense focuses on the action itself. The present perfect continuous tense uses two auxiliary verbs together with a main verb. The first auxiliary verb is has or have, and the second auxiliary verb is been. In present perfect form is been, that is B-E-E-N, been. Now let's discuss the structure of this tense. The structure of the present perfect continuous tense is has or have plus been plus verb ing. For example, I have been waiting for you since 3 p.m. which means and is still waiting or has just finished waiting. Another example is that Miss Jyoti has been teaching in DePaul School for 9 years. Let's see the another negative structure of this. Structure of negative form is subject plus has or have plus not plus been plus verb ing. For example, students have not been playing games for 3 months due to lockdown. Question form is has or have plus subject plus been plus verb ing. For example, have you been studying English? Another example, has your father been teaching you since 2017? If the subject of the sentence is he, she, it or a singular noun, then the auxiliary verb has been is used. I repeat this. If the subject of the sentence is he, she, it or a singular noun, then the auxiliary verb has been is used. And if the subject of the sentence is I, you, we, they or plural noun, then the auxiliary verb have been is used. Keywords for this tense is all day, how long, for, since, lately. Dear students, let's discuss the usage of this tense clearly with relevant examples. Number 1, the present perfect continuous tense is used to talk about temporary habits or situations. In this stage, the action started in the past and continues to the present. For example, they have been living with his mother while they look for a house. This tense is very similar to the use of the present continuous for temporary habits. Number 2, the present perfect continuous tense is primarily used with activity or action verbs and is used for a temporary situation leading up to the present or for a temporary habit up to the present. To illustrate, let's take 2 examples here. Number 1, I have been waiting for you since 3 p.m. Another example, he has been coming to school by bus for the past 3 months. Now let's move on to number 3. Difference between the progressive form and the non-progressive form is that verbs of perception like see, hear, smell, touch. Cognition, it's like mental process of thinking and understanding. And having and being are not normally used in the progressive form. A verb of perception is a verb such as see, watch, look, hear, listen, feel, and taste that conveys the experience of one of the physical senses. Let's move on to number 4. Yet another difference between the two is that the progressive form implies the non-completion of the happening. For example, number 1, I have been reading the book, which means I have not read the whole book. Another example is that I have read the book, which means I have read the whole book. Now let's move on to number 5. Actions which have recently stopped, though the whole action can be unfinished and have a result which we often see, hear, or feel in the present. We don't use a time word here. In this case, for example, it has been raining, so the pavement is wet. Now let's move on to number 6. Recently and lately are the words that we often find verbs in the present perfect continuous tense. For example, have you seen my purse and keys recently? Because I am sure we do not know where they are. Another example, she has been watching too much television lately. Now dear students, let's move on to number 7. And which is very important here in this form, in this tense. We use for and since with present perfect continuous tense. We often use for to talk about a period of time. For example, I have been studying for 3 hours. We use since to talk about an exact in the past time. For example, I have been listening to music since 7 p.m. Please note, it is important to note that non-continuous verbs cannot be used in any continuous tense. For example, she wants to go home. Here the static verb is used. What's the static verb here? The word wants is a static verb. Therefore, we cannot use ing form and say she is wanting to go home, which is wrong. Let us look at another example. I know him. The stative or mental verb is here know. In this case, we cannot say I am knowing him. This is very important, where most of us grapple with or struggle to deal with. That's it all.